Welcome, everyone. I'm Gustavo Tolosa, your host for this online book club that right now we're reading The Cheese Trap by Dr. Neal Barnard. And welcome, everybody. I see people from all over the country and from other parts of the world. So as usual, it is exciting, and I look forward to this time of the week to just be with you and spend an hour learning and just enjoying your comments and your questions. Today, we're going to have a very special guest, Shayda Soleimani, who many of you know. She is a marvelous cook, and she's bringing us an easy and delicious cheese sauce, and she will be here in a few minutes. And I want to encourage everybody here to look at the recipes in the book, at the end of the book. And maybe it would be great if every week, we all tried one, and then you can type here the comments of how you like the recipe. If you want to be on camera, you can. I can actually bring you in with a click of a mouse here if you would like to do that, or if you let me know ahead of time, and you can then talk about the recipe. So I thought that would be one of the viewers suggested that, and I think it's a great idea. It'll be something practical and interactive. So, and that's why I'm bringing you some, almost every week, somebody that will make a cheese sauce that is whole food, plant-based. And then I plan on making some of these myself and showing them to you. So today, today we are going to go for about half an hour, and then we will have our very special guest, Shayda. And today we are going to start with chapter 5, but chapter 5 is a very, very good chapter, well, they all are, and it's a little longer, so we will cover about half of it. Okay, so chapter 5, it says health problems you never bargained for. We're in chapter 5 in the printed edition, that is page 73. But if you have the online edition, I'm not sure what page that is, but that's page 73 of the book. Okay, so it says here at the very beginning that we've seen how a daily dose of cheese can pack on the pounds and cause hormones to go haywire. And we saw that in chapter 4. And I think that's a great chapter to go back to, both for men and women, but we tend to hear more about women having hormone therapy and things like that. And this chapter number 4 can be a lifesaver. I want you to let other people know, people need to know this information. But besides hormones, cheese can also lead to a surprising range of health problems. Some are subtle, others are life-threatening. So at the bottom of page 73, it says, you will notice that most of the health problems described in this chapter don't relate to fat or cholesterol. So this is a special chapter because one of the negative things that cheese has, of course, is the amount of fat and the amount of cholesterol. But this chapter, it talks about something different, which is the protein. So on page 74 and page 75, you can read, the story of a real person that eliminates allergies and asthma when they stop the dairy products, especially cheese, but all dairy products. And I want to just say a word of this because in my own experience, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a doctor in music, I'm just telling you what I've observed as I interview other doctors, as I attend conferences, as I go to places like True North and the McDougall program, etc., that a lot of people who have allergies and asthma improve very, very fast and very much when they stop the dairy and cheese. In some cases, it goes away. So on page 76, it says that it took a long time for this person that was described in the previous pages, Chad, to link dairy products to his asthma. And it's safe to say that most other people struggling with this disease have not heard about the link either. And the link between asthma and dairy is a real one, and it's one that has been studied. But why most people haven't heard about this important link? Well, maybe this can be a little homework, or maybe you have already done it. But if you go to Google and you type in the search box there, asthma dairy, the search turns up as item number 1, a website from the National Asthma Council Australia, a not-profit organization working to improve health outcomes and quality of life for people with asthma. Sounds great. And as a matter of fact, it jumps right in with a section called Dairy Foods and Asthma, where here is what it says. Basically, it says that, and this is quote, there is little scientific evidence to support this myth that asthma is linked to dairy. The National Asthma Council Australia also does not routinely recommend avoiding dairy foods as a way to manage asthma. They also advise that milk and dairy foods do not increase mucus. So this nonprofit discounts any link between dairy products and asthma, but it goes further. So at the bottom of page 76, it says, unfortunately, most Australians are missing out on the health benefits that come from consuming milk, cheese, and yogurt, as they don't include enough dairy foods in their diet. Dr. Neal Barnard here says on page 77 at the top, this is starting to smell funny. Let's click on the web page listing the council's corporate sponsors. Let's see who the corporate sponsors are in here in this organization. There are 8 of them. One is Dairy Australia. I wonder why they want to discount any links between asthma and dairy. The others are drug companies, AstraZeneca, Boehringer, a lot of names that I haven't heard and I don't know, Novartis. In other words, the corporate sponsors of this website are organizations that make money if you continue to consume dairy products or continue to need medication. This is always so disheartening to see how the health of people takes second, third, fourth place, and the money and sales take first place. There is a disturbing trend, it says here, in the world of medicine in which food companies and drug manufacturers bankroll health organizations that dismiss or sometimes actively oppose approaches that can solve medical problems. So in the middle of page 77, it says, this is not to say that diet changes always solve the problem or the medications have no role. No, that's not what Dr. Barnard is saying. But if a simple change in diet can improve health or save a life, it is hard to justify keeping it hidden. Okay, so what about the scientific evidence that the National Asthma Council Australia was talking about? Is the dairy asthma link a myth or not? Let's have a look. So then at the bottom of page 77 and most of 78, he lists very reputable studies that show that the link does exist. You know, a diet change doesn't work overnight. It takes time, and the reason it takes time is just your body has to get used to it, has to detoxify, and so forth, and results start to appear, as you can see when you read the story on page 74 and 75. At the bottom of page 78, it says, "A lesson for anyone who likes to breathe." I like, the humor. I don't know if you have heard Dr. Barnard speak in person. I have had the luck and the privilege of hearing him speak, 3-4 times. And one of the things I appreciate is the simplicity that he has when he needs to explain some of these ideas and concepts that are complicated, and also the humor. So he says, if you like to breathe, make sure you read this. It says, "A glass of whole milk made it harder for oxygen to pass from the lungs into the bloodstreams." So that's still an ongoing study, but it seems to be that there is a connection between the amount of oxygen that gets that passes from the lungs into the bloodstreams when you consume a glass of whole milk. So why cheese? It says on page 79. Well, as you know by now, the cheese making process concentrates dairy fat and protein, as well as cholesterol, sodium, and calories. Here are the numbers. 1 cup of milk has 7.7 grams of protein, but a cup of melted cheese has 56. A cup of milk has 79 grams of fat. A cup of cheddar has 7.9 as opposed to 81 in the cheese. You can see how everything gets highly concentrated in cheese. So if dairy protein triggers allergies or make other allergies worse, or if dairy fat impairs lung function, as the New York study suggested, cheese will be right at the top of the problem list. So there is another story on page 79 and top of 80 that I think is important to read. And then there are other respiratory problems that can develop. At the bottom of page 81, it says, respiratory problems can hit anywhere between the lungs and the sinuses and even the ears. Yes, we sometimes don't think about the ears, but everything is connected. So many young children suffer with otitis media, a painful inflammation of the middle ear that often starts as an upper respiratory infection and congestion in the eustachian tubes. As middle ear secretions accumulate, they provide a breeding ground for infections. Yes, I have seen this firsthand with children that have repeated one after another infections, where they have to then eventually get tubes put in their ears, and in some cases there is hearing loss. And when they stop consuming milk and dairy, it improves. Why do dairy proteins trigger these problems? Is it that the human immune system recognizes dairy proteins as foreign and launches an inflammatory assault to try to eliminate them? I think that is a brilliant question right there. Is at the very top of page 82. Let's see it again. This is, I think that we've got to memorize this question. Why do dairy proteins trigger these problems? Is it because the body, the human immune system recognizes these dairy proteins as foreign? They don't belong to us. They belong to another species, and then the body launches an inflammatory assault to try to eliminate them. Inflammation would explain the runny nose and congestion. In my view, it says Dr. Barnard, it is still not entirely clear why avoiding dairy products is often so helpful for otitis media or other inflammatory conditions. But the good news is that you do not need to wait for researchers to connect the physiological dots. There is no risk in getting away from dairy products. If you have respiratory problems, going dairy-free is a really good idea. You will soon see what it will do for you. I don't know if anybody here has had, I would like to see if you have had an experience yourself, or if you know somebody, an adult or children that have had ear infections or asthma or allergies, and when they stopped consuming dairy and cheese, it improved. If you have, let me know. In my case, I was never, fortunately, I never had allergies, but but I would get sometimes and allergies, and I would get runny nose, and that is pretty much just non-existent. Well, it's been 7 years, almost 8, that I gave up all of the animal products and switched to a whole food plant-based diet. But if you have an experience, please type it. It would be great to know. Or if you have a story that you want me to share, you can email it to me at info@plantemus.com. Plantemus is plant, PLANTEMUS.com. That is a website that Dr. Diego Poniman, MD, and myself started to continue to get this information, spread this information to the general public. And one good thing about this website is that it's bilingual, so you have English and you have Spanish. Okay, so another very serious and even debilitating problem or condition is migraines. A migraine is not just a bad headache. It's not a bad headache. It is pounding pain, and it lasts for hours. Curiously, it often occurs on just one side of your head, which is where its name comes from. And so sometimes the pain is preceded by an aura of flashing lights, blind spots, or other sensory phenomena. And along with it, you feel sick. Lights and sounds are hard to take, forcing many migraine sufferers to lie down in a dark room to wait it out. So the diagnosis is usually straightforward. Your doctor will look for the following criteria, which were set by the International Headache Society. So you have the criteria here on page 83 and 84. And it says, number 1, 5 or more attacks, or just 2 attacks if accompanied by an aura. A duration of 4 hours to 3 days. That's number 2. Number 3, at least 2 of the following: one-sided, pulsating, moderate to severe intensity. D, aggravation by or causing avoidance of routine physical activity. And number 4, 1 or both of the following: nausea and or vomiting, and sensitivity to both light and sound. So what causes these horrible headaches? The answer is really not known. Can it's interesting how even though science has made so much progress, there is really no real answer of why or what causes these horrible headaches. Despite the fact that migraines are very common, the mechanism is only vaguely understood as some combination of changes in the blood vessels, brain tissues, and neurotransmitters. Migraines tend to hit when you are stressed or sleep deprived. So that's, I guess, if you suffer from migraines, trying to avoid those might help. And if you have missed a meal or if you are near your menstrual period, weather changes and unusual odors can bring them on too, and food plays a big role. Cheese is a trigger for many people, especially aged cheese, and it was for Lauren too. Lauren is one of the stories that we have here of a person who suffered migraines and was able to get rid of them. So on page 85, it says foods and migraine. What is it about cheese? Why would it trigger migraines? The usual explanation is tyramine, a compound found in aged cheeses, as well as in some meats, chocolate, soy sauce, sauerkraut, and other foods. So it's not just in cheese. Tyramine is produced from the amino acid tyrosine, which is found in each of these foods. During fermentation, tyrosine turns into tyramine, the presumed migraine culprit. So there we have some explanation of what might be causing these migraines. But tyramine might not be the whole story. Many migraine sufferers find that dairy products in general can tighten the headache's grip, and many other foods can too, with considerable variation from one person to another. Amazingly, out of 88 children, because here we have a study in the year 1983, there was a study done with children, and 88 children, out of 88 children, 78, so most of them, recovered completely, and 4 more were greatly improved. And this is when they stopped the dairy. In adults, elimination diets had somewhat less consistent results. But even so, trigger-free diets help many people, up to about half of the participants in research studies. Avoiding fatty foods helps too, reducing headache frequency and intensity. So that is on page 88. And then it says getting headache free at the bottom of page 88. And on that's page 85. And then on page 86, we have in the middle of the page, something very interesting. It says the key she found, that means Lauren, was not just avoiding aged cheeses, but all cheeses and other dairy products. It was a little tough at first, but eventually she lost her taste for them. After all, it's hard to love a sledgehammer. Instead of cheese, she found she could add avocado to salads, and it could bring a savory flavor to pasta with a good olive oil and salt. So chocolate turned out to be a trigger too, but not such a harsh one. And I see that our special guest has logged in, and her name is Shayda, and I know that many of you know her, and we're very excited last week when I announced it. And I don't know if you're ready, Shayda, but let's see.
I don't know, can you see me? Like, am I in a good spot, or Is everything
We
good?
can see you perfectly. Yes. Okay. So, Shayda, thank you first of all. Thank you for joining us. We were talking about cheese and about all, many of the negative effects. And this is wonderful. I don't know have you had, let me ask you a quick question. Have you had any experience with cheese? Were you one of those cheese addicts before, or was it difficult to give it up? Did you notice any?
It was extremely tough to give it up because remember, I'm Middle Eastern and I was brought up on feta cheese. So when I started breaking out in severe hives and all this kind of stuff, my doctor said, well, you're probably allergic to something. And I said, okay, so we did the testing and it turns out that I'm allergic to dairy products, which absolutely, Gustavo, devastated me because I love dairy and, when brought up with it, and I was in my mid 40s when this happened. And I said, okay, well, that's fine, but I can still have feta cheese, right? And he said, no, you cannot have, my whole world came to an end. It seemed like feta cheese, Gouda, smoked Gouda. It was really difficult. And you know what? It's difficult, but at the same time, I'm happy that I'm out of that pleasure trap and that I'm no longer engaged in it. And I'm not going to lie, it is hard to give it up. But once you do, it makes it so much easier to stay away from it because now you know all the ramifications of what's going to happen if you do have cheese. And now I look at cheese in a totally different way. But here's the thing. Once I decided to give it up, I completely gave it up, meaning that from that moment on, I have never looked back. I have never touched it, gone near it, nothing. You cannot, I know some people that once in a while, they may have a tiny, tiny little piece of that cheese. Well, every time you introduce that tiny little piece of cheese, your neuroadaptation of your taste buds are all changing again. So you're giving yourself another headache because then now you're going to have to start all over again and neuroadapting to be without cheese. So once you make that decision, guys, don't look back because it'll be the best thing you've ever done. Really.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. That is so important to not introduce it back in, but
not even a little bit, Gustavo. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Yes, you're totally right. Well, so instead of having that cheese that is full of hormones and cholesterol and saturated fats and salt and all sorts of things, we can still enjoy this creaminess and taste that with plant-based cheeses. And go ahead, tell us how to do that.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to say that this is not going to be cheese, right? So it's going to look like a cheese sauce. It's going to have the same texture, the same consistency, but it's going to be so healthy for us. And the way that I came up with this was inspired and adapted from Plentiful Kiki, who she made this great cheese sauce, but I wanted to take it a little step further. So this has been adapted from hers. And this cheese sauce has no nuts in it, which is great because a lot of times, a lot of the cheese sauces that you see out there, they do have a lot of nuts and seeds in them. And because of my allergy recently to nuts, I can't have that. So this is absolutely perfect. Now, just a side note, this has not been introduced yet. So my YouTube video is not out yet to show how this is done. It's not on my Amazon page. You guys are going to be the first group of people, and I'm excited to really share this with Gustavo, your group and everything. And the only thing I ask is that you don't post it and you don't talk about it just yet until it does come out for the general public, if that's okay, Gustavo.
Yes. I wanted to let's take a little break here and tell everybody that if you want to make this, go ahead, get a piece of paper, write down. You will receive a copy of this, a replay of this video, so you will be able to watch it again. But like Shayda said, the recipe, the video that she has made, and the written recipes will be posted on your YouTube channel and in your website.
It'll be over it'll be on my website. It will not be posted in the YouTube channel, but it will be on my website, which is at healthycookingwithshayda.com. It'll be on that website, definitely.
Okay.
And it should be out within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm excited for your group to have it firsthand, so please take notes. I will give you exact measurements. I will not leave anything out, I promise. And
so in about 2 weeks, everybody can go to your website, which I'm going to type here, Healthy Cooking with Shayda, and you will be able to download the written recipe from there. And if you want, you can watch the video.
Yes, absolutely. You can go to YouTube and under the same name, and you can watch the YouTube video that was made. Because for that YouTube video, not only did I make the cheese sauce, but I made this bomb of a nachos. I mean, it is so good. The nachos turned out really well. So I'm excited for you guys to see it.
All right.
So what you're going to need for this cheese sauce is you're going to take about you're going to want your finished product. You're going to want 4 cups of cubed Yukon Gold potatoes that I steamed. I did it over the stovetop, and you want to reserve the water. So what you want to do is I had a pot this size, basically, and I took my Yukon Gold potatoes, measured them out, 4 cups, and I put them in here. And I probably covered it. It came to about maybe 5 cups of water until it's covered. And you're going to cook that over the stovetop until your Yukon Gold potatoes are soft. And that took, I want to say, maybe about 20 minutes. And what you're going to do is you're going to drain the water, but I want you to save the potato water. Don't throw it out, because that's the water we're going to use to blend the cheese. So we're going to put this in the Blendtec without spilling it, hopefully. Another thing that's going in here is a 1/2 cup of cannellini beans. Now, cannellini beans can also be called Great Northern beans. So either one, it's fine. But you're going to rinse it, and you're going to drain the water, and you're going to put the 1/2 cup of beans in here. I have measured out of the potato water, like I told you, there's 1.5 cups of the potato water. Now, depending on how thick you like your sauce to be, you may want to put 1.5 cups of water, or you may want to go to 2 cups of the potato water, and that'll make it creamier. That'll make it a little bit more watery. So it really is a preference of what you want, for your cheese sauce. So this is about 1.5 cups. We're going to pour that in here. Next, what else are we going to use? Okay, so some of my favorite products. This is from Savory Spice. And Gustavo, if you could put the link of this for your viewers. It's Savory Spice, and it's called Onion and Garlic Table Sprinkle. This stuff is so good, and I use it for everything, because I find myself always, when I'm putting onions, garlic in here, I want to put onions too. So guess what? This is all in one spot. So we are going to do,
and then what is it? It's onion what?
It is called an onion and garlic tableside sprinkle. I don't know if you can see it. But it's from Savory Spice, and they are online. I don't have an affiliate with them. I just absolutely love their product, and I will promote their products just because I believe in it, and I absolutely love it. So we're going to put 2 teaspoons in here. We are going to put ground red chipotle powder. Now, this is another one of my favorite spice stores is Penzey's, Penzey's spices. Again, they are online as well, and they have some great spices. So this is their ground red chipotle powder, and this is going to give it a little bit of a smoky, spicy flavor. So we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of that in here. We are going to add some smoked paprika, about 1 teaspoon. Let's see. And if you don't want it this smoky or this spicy, you don't have to. You can put less. Another one of my favorite spices is this jalapeno chili powder. Now, if you go to my Amazon favorite affiliate page, the nutrition release that I'm going to use and this jalapeno chili powder is in there, so you can look at to see what I'm talking about. And you can also see some of my other favorite products in case you want to order anything. But Gustavo, if you could put a link to that as well. Now, if you do not want to use this jalapeno chili, the powder, why not add a fresh jalapeno? Add a serrano. You can make it as spicy and not spicy as you want. And I have to tell you, every time I use this chili powder, it makes me sneeze. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time for just in case, because I can already feel it.
I know. I've seen you do that every time.
Every time, right? So I'm going to put it away. I'm literally going to put it on the other side because it just makes me sneeze. The other thing that I use is a 12-ounce jar of roasted peppers. I buy this from the grocery store. Nothing special. The only thing is that it is, these roasted peppers are in water. So you want to make sure that you get them in water and not in oil. And this is a 12-ounce jar. We're going to put everything in here, including the liquid that's in here. So go ahead and put everything in. And let's make sure we get everything out. Okay. And what's a little cheese sauce without nutritional yeast? Now, I like this brand. This brand is by Sari, S-A-R-I Foods. It's 100% non-fortified, which I'm sure Gustavo's gone over with you guys as to why we need it non-fortified. And it's gluten-free, non-GMO, dairy-free, and there is no MSG. This is also in my Amazon affiliate page if you guys want to take a look at it. So we're going to put 6 tablespoons of this in here.
While you're doing that, how much jalapeno chili pepper powder did you put?
Half a teaspoon.
Okay.
But again, if you want to use a fresh one, some people may want it spicier, so they want to put more in there. It's completely up to you.
Okay. Or just put the actual fresh jalapeno, right?
Absolutely. You can, I know like my neighbor, he loves serrano. So for him, if I make it, I'm going to have to put serrano pepper in here.
Well, what is the difference between that nutritional yeast and, the more basic one, the cheaper one, the one that some people say that it may not be very healthy to consume?
Well, you just don't want, you want to make sure that it's organic. You want to make sure that it's non-GMO, and you want to make sure that it's non-fortified. If another brand has all 3 of those things, by all means. I think there's a product by Cal, K-A-L, and they also make it, and theirs is fine too. There's no, it's whichever one you want to get, but just make sure that it is non-fortified, it's non-GMO, and it's, it is gluten-free and no MSG. So you want to make sure that the product that you're buying is like clean.
Right.
Do you have any questions from anybody so far?
No, someone was asking how much of the jalapeno powder you used, but you've already answered that. Everybody is just watching excitedly. So,
Okay, guys, so excuse the noise, but we are going to run this. It needs to run for about 3 to 4 minutes, and you're going to see how piping hot this gets and how creamy. And then once it settles, it's going to thicken just a tad bit. And what I really love about this is like if you're done and you put it in your refrigerator and the next day you want to take some and reheat it, it reheats really nicely. And all you have to do is take as much as you want, put it in a bowl, put it in the microwave. Don't add water or anything to it. Just put it in the microwave for 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then once it's done, just mix it, and it's like you just made it. It's really that easy. All right, so we're going to start this. Gustavo, are you ready? Oh, okay. So I have a problem with my diffuser here. So I'm going to take this and move it over a little bit so that it doesn't keep, the breaker doesn't keep cutting out on me. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Remember to, when this video goes out on YouTube, please help me out and share it with your family, friends. It just helps my channel to grow. I would like to know more about what things you guys would like to see. You know how I love to make videos. If there are certain recipes or certain topics or a certain person that you would like for me to interview, please send me an email. You have my email, and I will, take that into consideration and make it happen, hopefully.
So I don't know if you guys can see the heat coming off of this or not.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the moment of truth,
The
right?
moment. And this is the moment that I hate.
Guys.
I can't taste it.
Well, you need to be here, Gustavo. What can I tell you?
Yeah. Well, tomorrow or Monday, I'm going to make this. So I will let everybody know how it went. And how do you use this, Shayda? Do you put it on baked potatoes, broccoli? How do you eat it?
So here's the cheese sauce.
Oh, wow. That is sinful.
And I mean, it seems a little watery now, but it'll solidify, and it'll thicken up. So I'm not worried about it. The way I use this is I put it. I'll make air fried potatoes, like French fries and croutons and stuff like that, and I'll pour it on top of that. I'll pour it on top of my broccoli, any of my vegetables. Honestly, I make nachos, so we have it on nachos. If you make tacos or quesadillas or burritos, it's great on that. So it's really a pretty versatile sauce for you to use. It's wherever. Just remember, back in the day, like if you make chili, you can even pour a little bit of the cheese sauce on top of the chili. So just remember, back in the day, what did you use your cheese sauces on? This could take that replacement. So, and depending on the spices, how spicy you want it, not so spicy, that's again completely up to you. You can play with those. What I've given you is just it's a mild spice. There's a little kick to it with the measurements that I've given you. But if you want to take it a notch higher, by all means, go for it.
Okay, great. And let me ask you this. Someone says, how long did it run in the Vitamix?
Well, I didn't use a Vitamix on this one. I used a Blendtec, and it ran for probably about maybe closer to 4 minutes. So I apologize for that noise, but you really want to run it a long time to get it creamy and to get it so that everything is blended to perfection.
Right.
Do I have a spoon here? Well, see, it's starting to thicken up a little bit, so I'm going to go like this so you could see how it's starting to thicken a bit.
Right. It does take, after a while, it gets thick. And then, like you said at the beginning, you could use less.
Oh, so good. So good.
No, don't do that to us.
It's so good on top of black beans and some avocado and this and some lettuce and oh man.
Now you did not use lemon juice in this recipe, correct?
You know what? You do want me to I forgot to add it. Thank you for mentioning that. And I did forget to add it. There is 1 tablespoon of lemon juice that needs to go in here, and I completely forgot about it. So thank you for mentioning it.
All right.
Yes,
all right.
that's lemon juice.
So let me ask you this question. You know, as there are people, actually one person here, but I know many people who do this. They bake tofu for a cheese substitute, and we all know that tofu is not that it's unhealthy, but right. What the difference would be between tofu and this, I don't know. You can correct me. Maybe it's the amount of calories and the amount of fat.
Yes, because tofu is much higher in fat, and that's why I don't cook with tofu. I'm not a huge fan of tofu to begin with. And because of the calorie content, it's more or less the fat content. It's much higher in fat, so I won't use it. So that's why I tend to lean more towards the cannellini beans. Absolutely.
Right. But as I told everybody at the beginning of our book club, I really dislike to make big generalizations and general. It depends. Many of us are at different points in our journey. So and each person is different. So for some people who may not have a weight problem or don't need to lose weight or actually need to gain weight,
I wish that was me.
I wish that was me too. So we're not saying that the tofu is bad. Don't eat it. Different people. I'm like you. I just never got quite used to the taste or the texture, but I've used it a couple of times mixed with other things, like to make a filling that had spinach and a little bit of tofu, and it made it taste like it had cottage cheese, for like a filling. But hey, if you like it and it's not a problem, but in this case, you're providing us with a recipe that has less calories and less fat. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I did forget the lemon. How I forgot the lemon, I have no idea. It doesn't make or break the recipe.
Right. Wow, bless you again.
Here we go again.
All right. Well, Shayda, thank you so much. This is always fun to be with you. And guys, we are working on some exciting projects with Shayda.
Yeah. I can't wait. I love collaborating with you, Gustavo. And we make a great team, and I'm excited. And I really want to thank you for having me on your show today. Thank you so much. And I hope your viewers love this pizza.
Let me ask you one more thing. Have you ever used this as a creamy salad dressing? Someone is asking.
I personally have not, but I don't see why you can't make a tostada salad and use this on top.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you again. And we will I'll let everybody know when your recipe is out for the general public. But today, everybody got a bonus here because this is
exclusive. It's exclusive to Gustavo's people. Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Gustavo. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. You too, Shayda. And bye-bye.
Take care. Bye, guys.
So everybody, today we have finished, and we will pick up next week, and we will finish chapter 5. And I hope to see you then.